first of all, thank you very much for coming. This afternoon is hopefully about, I think in the keynote speech at the beginning, there was one line that summed it up, that before you develop reading, you need to develop language and oracy and storytelling. Feast of Stories is one project that we've developed here at Children's Story. And the whole kind of ethos of the project was that schools can no longer just see themselves as insular. That the actual, for me, the future of education actually lies outside of schools. That you've got to look at your local community, you've got to look at the families that are the stakeholders, you've got to look at the social capital you can build within your community, and you've got to go out and find other forms of resource, human resource, physical resource. So we engaged the local library, we engaged the Children's Story Centre Discover, which is a huge centre in Stratford that's designed for a place for children to go and play and create stories. So this project wasn't just about school, it was a sense of local community. Open window. Feast of Stories came from a project that I developed with a friend who's a retired blues guitarist. And we had this idea of, we both loved Charles Mingus, the legendary jazz performer. And Charles Mingus quite famously said, being creative is something that people try to aspire to, but they get it wrong. He said the person he loves in the musical world is Brock, because he makes things that are stupidly complicated really easy, simple, accessible, that anyone could do it. So we took that philosophy. How do you make something that's really complicated, simple, accessible, so that everyone could do it? We had a lot of community tension in our playgrounds. Our school is roughly 82% EAL, ethnicity very, very high, 27 different languages, similar amount of different cultural backgrounds, family backgrounds. We have groups of parents in the playground that won't talk to each other. We have groups of parents in the playground that won't, within cultures, caste systems, won't talk to each other. Albanian travellers who spat at Albanian families who spat at other Albanian families because of their perception of that family. How do you break those barriers down? Massively complicated. This is why I sound really arrogant. We did something really simple. We got a Google map and we sprayed a mark in the playground and we measured a 1 mile radius. We gave ourselves 12 weeks to record every language spoken in that 1 mile radius as a bedtime song, as a lullaby. And we got an old demands ball that was falling apart in the playground. It was about to go and we said, could we have it for 12 weeks? We sat in there, laptop, microphone. We sat, honestly, for about 4 weeks, no one turned up. But we just kept doing it. We sat in there, we're not moving, it will work. Kevin Costner, build it, they will come. Someone will turn up. As soon as one person came in, more and more people came in. We ended up with about 127 different recordings across 28 different languages. Some of them we were playing earlier. At the highest point, we had a 3-year-old Albanian boy, with an 83-year-old Greek granddad playing the violin, a 27-year-old Serbian mum, coming together, creating a song. I've got a little clip here that sort of sums it up, because I know I waffle.
Me and my mum sat at home on Saturdays and Sunday, and we started to learn an Arabic song, so it's just a chorus. ولا أنتظر علينا الهدية الوداع وجب الشكر علينا ولا إله إلا
Love that pose.
I can feel the rain on my head. I don't have a hat or umbrella. What should I do? I can go instead. I don't want to. I asked my mom if I can go to the park, and she said yes. She left the rain to the park.
This bit, they thought people weren't listening to the songs, so we made homemade speakers and played them really loud all around the school. Played in the corridor, the staff room, playground. I wasn't the most liked person.
sun on my head. I don't have a hat or an umbrella. What shall I do? Shall I go to my friend's house and get a new hat? Or shall I go to my mom's friend's house? Shall I marry both of them? Yes, I will. Oh yeah. Just 1 minute. I just want to talk to my friends.
So that basically sums up the first part of this gas. That whole idea of something massively complicated we try and make really simple. 1 mile radius, we'll catch as much as we can. You know the bit, I can feel the sun in my head? The kids made out, these are 2 children who felt that their self-esteem was very low. In class they didn't talk much, they were challenging. I'm trying to think of a word, bloody pain in the arse, in all honesty. Very very confident, but in sort of other ways. We pulled them in, the girl had a guitar, and what we did is we got her to play 4 different notes on the guitar, recorded it, then just simply looped it. So that's actually her playing. The recorder bit, we got her to play the 1 bit of the tune she could play, recorded it and looped it. And then we just got them to download a little beat track off, you know, like them old Casio keyboards. Recorded it, looped it. And suddenly you've got something that sounds beautiful, but really, really simple. So why are we here? What's Feast all about, and how does it fit into reading? As a kid, I was really late at developing as a reader. I was never really encouraged to read, never encouraged to go to university. It was my uncle who dragged me there in the end. And now for my 2, I'll ensure they're surrounded by a literacy-rich environment. And I'm not talking phonics, I'm not talking sight words. I constantly give a teacher a hard time about spelling tests. I want a literacy-rich environment. That's how my 2 are shaping my life, because I want them to be confident readers, confident talkers, confident story builders. And my friend's a truck driver, and he turned around to me and he said, "Do you know what?" He goes, "I used to hate reading in class." I said, "Why?" He goes, "Because you had to put your hand up." He's a little bit older than me, and he said, "You'd be following a text, and then they'd just go, Bob, John, Sandra, Matt." And he said, "I just found reading so hard. I froze, I panicked. Oh, God, I've got to read. You've not been listening, you've not been following." And it was more performance and reciting what was on the page. And he said that, and as he was telling me that, I was thinking, that's what I hated. Because I knew I couldn't do it. I was rubbish at decoding. I found it really hard, but I was quite good at talking, and I could bluff. I was good at getting out of situations and talking, and I had a lot of support because I had a troubled background, so that was obviously why I wasn't reading very well. And I don't know if the aspirations were there for me as a kid to really go that much further. Perhaps that's why as a kid I wasn't reading that well. I wasn't motivated. I was scared to actually share knowledge with other people. I didn't want to tell stories because they're rubbish, and I think that's transcended into me as an adult, singing in front of people. Oh, I've still got those anxieties. They've stayed. We talk about lifelong learners, don't we? I'm thinking about that real negative impact I had as a young kid that's actually stayed with me all the way through. So, in a long way round, that's where we get to where we are today, Feast of Stories. And this is where I make a little kind of apology, but it's not really an apology. I'm really passionate about this project because I think it's really simple. I think anyone could do it. I think anyone could do it. And for me, it made me feel really good and pick up books for pleasure. I actually went out and started reading for pleasure again, not just fiction magazines. And it really worked for me with my children in my school. It might not for your children in your school. It might be something that you think, no, I really disagree with that. But actually, I don't really care. Because I'm really passionate about this. And if you strongly disagree with what I'm saying, you're still going to think about it when you leave. And you might go home and tell your partner, oh, absolute numpty was talking rubbish. But you're going to talk about it because you've seen it and you've thought about it. So I sort of apologise, but don't. We think this story project, Feast of Story, worked because the one thing we did is we accepted the children's stories, whatever they were. There was a bare bonus about the story. It could be a simple composition. It could be a long, ramble story where the child just carries on talking and talking and talking. Whatever it was, we accepted it. And there seemed to be a reciprocal response that because we were accepting the children's stories as they were and not editing them, playing around with them, giving them learning targets, getting them to improve the handwriting of the piece that they scribbled down or talk more clearly. Because we accepted them as they were, the children seemed to keep coming forward for more and more stories. It fits in with the pedagogy of Brockenfender, ecology, the child. He talks about ecosystems and exosystems. That you have a child in a school, and by the age of 4, what's really important to them are the people around them, the people talking to them, those modelling language, those modelling reading, the experiences they have, the community they grow up in. This is Hannah and Zoa. This is where we get practical. First part of Feast of Stories is we took the one thing that 4 and 5-year-olds love themselves. Their ideas, they're always right. Joey's going to be a bridesmaid, Dad, not a best man. End of story. My little Cara, not a stubbornness, kind of, it's me, I must be right. Feast of Stories begins with the children creating their own little character. We found in our nursery that actually a lot of the children didn't know the traditional English rhymes, and why would they? Perhaps if they were new to the country. Why would they know I'm little teapot, short and spout? Why would they know Little Red Riding Hood? And we had that in that presentation this morning, didn't we, about not having Greek or Latin-based languages. Why would we be arrogant enough to accept that these stories are all around the world? Perhaps they are, perhaps they aren't. We had children coming to the nursery who didn't know these, what we thought were traditional stories, familiar stories. So we said, create your own. That's where we're going to start. Got some pegs, got some paper, got some pens, got some glue, got some scissors. Create your own little character for me. If you want to have a go and graze and have a look at some of the paperwork, go and have a look at some of the paperwork. I'll give you 5 or 10 minutes. Go and create your own little character. If you were going to look at the characters, you might choose an object. You might want a dinosaur. You might want a wooden lion on wheels, or a bird that can sing, or a spoon king. You might want to draw your character. You might want to make a little paper puppet. The one thing we found with the children, that no matter what they look like, if they put 2 eyes on them, they came alive. So there seems to be a real potent power about putting eyes on something. Our young children, you put eyes on it, it becomes real. This is obviously a queen, and this is obviously her princess. It's not a bit of wool and some felt in, because there's actually 2 eyes on there and a little smiley mouth underneath. And it was like, it's a queen. Can't you tell it's a queen? And Zoa doesn't actually speak any English, but she's that queen and princess seems to be something that does globally travel. So I'm going to stop talking.